So welcome everybody to the NAWBO Member Spotlight. Today we have Kristen Boldt with us.
One of my all-time favorite humans.
Awesome. So Kristen, you have a lot of exciting changes. You have a new name, all kinds of, so fill us in.
Yes, new name for me, new name for the business. And I really love the business name because it encompasses what I do, because I'm not a typical lawyer. I take a much more peacemaking approach. I call myself an integrative attorney, and integrative attorneys are the healers, lawyers as healers and fixers. And so the three main buckets of my practice are collaborative divorce, which is, it takes us out of the courtroom, it brings in a team. So you have collaborative attorneys, but we also have a therapist, neutral therapist, who's our coach, and a neutral financial professional who helps us crunch all the numbers and find the best solutions and maybe things that we wouldn't have thought about, because usually there are more options than people realize. Kendra is one of our main CFAs, and it's just wonderful. She goes, "Oh no, but you guys can do this." And everyone goes, and it just changes that vibe in the room when now we are, when I tell people is that we're going to create what your family looks like in two homes. You've created your family during the marriage, your routines, your values, your traditions, what's important to you. Now we're going to create what that looks like in two homes, but it's still family. For those kids, we want consistency. We want stability for everybody. Because you're always going to have a relationship. If you have kids, you're going to the same graduations and weddings and grandbabies, and we don't want weird divorce baggage following you. We want everyone to be happy and stable and doing well together. So that's collaborative. Mediation is the second bucket. It can be for divorce, it can be for families struggling to figure out how to care for older parents or older relatives. It can be in businesses when we've got kind of a conflict, we've got people rubbing each other the wrong way and we have to get past it. It's a great tool whenever there is going to be a relationship past the conflict, because we got to fix what's wrong now, but we also have to make a plan so that we are on a different path and we don't just keep hitting the same wall over and over again. And so that's where mediation can be used. It's just a neutral, facilitated conversation is really all that is. And then the third bucket that I'm going to talk about in a couple of weeks is conscious contracting. And I love, I did my initial training a couple of years ago, and I did my certification training last summer. So I'm the advanced training, and it is a fantastic tool. If you think about normal contracts, they're kind of icky. No one likes to read them. It's a whole lot of legalese and boilerplate. They are not written for the relationship you're living. They are written for the lawyers that are going to argue about it in the future in front of a judge if something goes wrong. So that's why I say they're written for the future lawsuit, not the day-to-day relationship. Conscious contracts are they're very people focused. They're based on your values, your vision, your mission. What is the good we want to do in the world? What's this thing, this contribution we're going to make together? Why us? Why these people at this time? What do we all bring? And then how do we work together? What do we each need? And what do we need to avoid to make a good working environment? And then how do we want to deal with things when things come up? Because they will. That's just life. So we build in, it's called an ACE, addressing change and engaging disagreement. So we talk through, how do you deal with conflict? Do you need to know right away? Do you need to be told and set a time to talk so you can process? Whatever it is, we want to work within how you work, because that's going to get the best outcome for everybody. And what we find is when we do that, we build in all these other processes for working through things, so you don't need the lawyers in the court and the thing down the road. So even if paths diverge, they diverge without blowing up. So it's a very fun, and it's fun. I've done a number of these for partnerships, and the energy in the room when we start talking about, how do you want to talk about this? How do you want to refer to your clients? How do you want to build your values into the language of the contract? And I get the wide eyes and the energy, and it's really cool. And I had a client that said, "Oh, we love just having this day-to-day thing that helps us make decisions and run our business. And we've already talked through how we're going to do things as they come up." So it's really kind of liberating, as opposed to this clunky thing that makes sense to lawyers and you stick in a drawer until something, blows up. So that's kind of that. Let's see. So the other question was how I got into NAWBO. And someone, Bobby with Women Lead Change, she's right across the hall from me, invited me to our first, when we used to do the big conferences. And what I remember is walking in and meeting Lynn Schrader, and she was, oh my gosh, so nice to meet you. Oh, we're both wearing red jackets. Oh, look at this. Everyone that I met that day was so happy to meet me and just wanted to know what I did. And that energy of enthusiasm and welcome, that extravagant welcome that I felt, I was like, oh, I got to be a part of this. This is where I want to be. And it is that willingness to help. Oh yeah, you know, if you ever start doing this, if you ever start expanding, you talk to this person because they know, and those shared resources, and that spirit of we're all in this together, and that rising tide raising all boats. We gotta, the more we help each other, the more we all succeed, the more it's better for our community and our families. And it's amazing. So
Amen to that.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my goodness, you have such amazing and exciting things going on.
yes,
I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it.
It's
and
so
it
great
is
to hear. I was just going to say, it's so great to hear how you're teaching people to have good communication. You know, like there's not a lot of that happening overall, and teaching people how to have good communication.
That's a lot of what we do. And when I trained new collaborative professionals last fall. And one of the things I told them is that divorce is never the goal. The new life is the goal. Divorce is the tool. The legal system gives us tools to get to where we need to go. And tools can either be destructive or creative. I mean, if you think about that, you can knock things down or you can build things up. And the traditional system tends to be on the more knock them down side because it limits you to a winner or a loser. And it doesn't. It's the typical story we use in mediation training is two people fighting over an orange. And there's only one, and how do you do it? And they both need the whole thing. Well, but what they really need is, you know, one needs the juice and one needs the peel. And so it's, instead of trying to cut this thing in half or do that, you get down to what are you actually trying to accomplish? Because there may be a way to do both, but you've got to have that conversation. If your conversation never goes past my orange or yours, then we never get to that next stage of creating the solution. So that's why you really got to change that conversation from the beginning. And then you end up on a totally different path.
Well, and I love how you're taking a holistic approach to it. That is so important in such, I think, even in today's age, what we need.
Yeah, that's what I love about collaborative and having those other neutrals in there, because it totally changes. Now we're talking about money in terms of how do we make the most of what we got, instead of, again, the legal fight of mine versus yours, but having that coach in there. Oh my gosh, to be able to, when, because you're grieving, it is, even in collaborative, even in a you know, agreeable divorce, it's still a divorce. It's still a huge life change and it's stressful. And so when our coach can bring things up, you know, well, I saw a cringe over here. Let's talk about the cringe. And so we talk about why that is and put it in the context of, oh, I'm feeling stressed. Talk about how it's going to be okay, but it also lets that other person know that cringe wasn't about them. It's about the what we're feeling in the process. So we put everything in and kind of rehumanizes. Oh, they're grieving too. So when they have disagreements come up, is this our grief, or how do we kind of do that? And so we, you know, create that space for grace to let everybody process over time, but you acknowledge that in the room. And you have lawyers that acknowledge that humanity in the room. And that's a totally different thing than just picking sides. And I'll have conversations with my clients about what I see. I said, you know, I know, you know, there was a tough meeting and there was some stuff in there. What I heard was fear, or what I heard was anger. And we know how to work through that. But helping them understand that was just grief. Don't let that go. It's not going to affect the outcome. It just needed to come out. And helping them kind of create that communication. That's part of it, is listening with the same intensity that we want to be heard. And it makes a huge difference in what we can do for people.
I love that. Oh, thank you so much. This is, I mean, there are so many ways that people need what you do. So this is just so
Mhm.
great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
So
I couldn't think
exciting.
of a better person to do it and
Thank you.
spearhead it and do something different. And I truly mean that.
Thank
It's
you.
wonderful.
It's where my heart is. So
And we can
it's so
tell.
nice to
Yeah.
find a way to practice law that fits with where my heart is, because the old one
Yes.
was not, it was a rough one. It was
Yeah.
an odd fitting hat.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.